I'm Collier Landry, and this is Moving Past Trauma. Hey, movers! Welcome back to another episode of Moving Past Trauma. I'm your host, Collier Landry, and what's going on? Sorry for the delay. We had some technical difficulties over here at our Santa Monica studios. I used StreamYard to put this show on, and I had switched accounts yesterday because I won a free professional account from StreamYard, so they switched everything on me, and I'm like, no, this is the wrong one, so I apologize. Anyways, very exciting news here. I have in my possession, and why am I so big in this shot? This is weird. Wow, that's odd. I have in my possession, so for those of you that are subscribers to this channel and members, you guys know that I have merchandise, and I, for the very first time, am going to see what my mugs look like. I have, obviously, the Moving Past Trauma t-shirt mug, and I have the Marisol, which is my Chihuahua, for those of you that don't know. And let me see your comments here. Wow, there's a lot of people, and I need to make this bigger, too. Oh, dear. What a kerfuffle today. I'm so sorry, guys. I know I'm all sweaty. This is terrible. Look at this. But let's see what I have here, because these are the mugs, and I've never seen these before, and they literally just arrived at my door a second ago. And I was like, I'm going to show you guys what they look like. Now watch, I'm going to open them up, and then they're going to be the wrong thing. Oh, look at this. The Marisol. Wow, that looks really good. Two-sided and everything. It's got some funkiness in it. We'll swish it around a little bit. I'm sure it's terrible for me. These are made in the USA, from what I understand, so there won't be hopefully any Chinese chemicals coming in. But now I can pour myself a little refreshing beverage, a little Trader Joe's soda water, and enjoy it. Cheers to Marisol, who's downstairs, who didn't get her afternoon walk yet, and she's rather angsty about it. In fact, she's probably tearing up the puppy pad. That's for sure. I am really curious why I'm so zoomed in on this picture. This is very interesting. So anyways, I see all of you are here. Hi, Coffee Buzz. Hi, Tina. So I was not planning on doing this live today, because in an hour I am interviewing Dr. Ramani, who, if you guys are familiar, she has her own channel here on YouTube. She has a podcast called Navigating Narcissism. And let's see, let me make sure. Enjoying COVID coffee? No COVID coffee from China. Well, obviously you guys can hear me. I was like, oh, is the sound working? But no, in all seriousness, Dr. Ramani is going to be joining my other podcast that I have with Tara Newell, Survivor Squad, in about an hour and change. So I'm very excited to interview her. I have been on her program, Navigating Narcissism, as has Tara. And we're really excited to talk to her. So I'm super glad that she decided to do an interview with us, because she's awesome. So we love Dr. Ramani here on this program. So the defense yesterday rested in the case of Lori Vallow Daybell without calling any witnesses. What do you guys think about that? I personally, and again, I'm not somebody who follows a lot of, a massive amount of true crime, but I am someone who has been drastically affected by it. I don't think I ever recall anyone, not any defense, not calling a witness for the defense in a trial, let alone a murder trial. Now, obviously, I think that we all, using our common sense, can recognize the fact that perhaps, maybe, the murders that she committed or is accused of committing, there probably is no defense for that, to be honest. So, I don't blame them, but my goodness, like, really? I guess there's no A for effort. I don't really know. Uh, yeah. So yeah, it's a confusing, a perplexing one to me. Um, Now, did you guys see these text messages that she had sent? Because those I also found really, really interesting, and they are just. And I'm trying to find them here. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. So apparently, the defense, or sorry, the prosecution, in their mountainous discovery of evidence, had there was a gentleman or a yeah a gentleman in the FBI, Doug Hart, who is a retired FBI agent who was originally working on the disappearance of JJ and Tylee Ryan in September of 2019, and his courtroom his testimony in the courtroom last Friday, he explained that Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell had used percentages to refer to how close the children were to death and others were. I mean, I I think like all of us, I still struggle to wrap my head around this. And I really my hair is flipping out. Oh no, my hair is flipping out. Uh I think that I think that when we thought that it couldn't get any worse, and it kind of has. Uh, and in reading these text messages, and I'll read some of them to you. And I know a lot of you have followed this as you're saying, and I totally respect that. You have to just so you guys know, I am just discovering all of this, which I find really, really fascinating and absolutely heartbreaking for these children and for the family because I don't really, as someone who's dealt with a psychopath, nothing surprises me anymore. You just got to be prepared for everything. But this is like the one that really just stuck with me because they believed that the kids were becoming zombies, or whatever. So therefore, see, I'm trying to fix the hair. I'm getting a lot of getting some things about the hair. Yeah, it seems to get worse every day, Black Widow. And I oh hi Susie, how are you? Nice to see everyone. Yeah, they believe these kids were zombies, and that's why they had to terminate their lives, which quite I don't think any of us can rationalize, right? But they uh they basically Daybell had texted her, Lori Vallow, and said, "I turned up the pain to 10 and placed a spiritual virus in her," referring to Tylee Ryan. And I don't know what this spiritual virus is, or what. I mean, now there was DNA that was supposedly found in a pickaxe. And obviously Tylee Ryan's body, I believe, was burned beyond recognition. So they didn't know what she had passed away from or what was ultimately the cause of her death. Oh, thank you so much, Dom's mom, for the super sticker. I really appreciate it. Uh, the flipping out is so cute. No offense meant at all. Oh, okay. Well, thank you. Yes, it is flipping out. Um, but I just, and I hate to laugh about this, but the level of evil that these people have stooped to is really dumbfounding to me. And it's dumbfounding to the point of, like, for those of you who've seen my film, and I'm confronting my father in prison, and I'm talking to him about the cause of death report, or whatever. I'm losing my grammatical decay is set in. So when I had seen the case file on my mom's murder, I had said I discovered that she was killed by blunt force trauma to the head, and I'm trying to explain that to my father and saying what was the blunt force trauma. Then he's got this excuse how she hit her head on a dresser or something or table, and then I said, well, how did you put why was there a plastic bag over her head? Oh, I put the plastic bag over her head. When the coroner's report had said my mother died of suffocation, right? Blunt force trauma and suffocation. And he's trying to justify all of it to me. And I remember thinking, okay, this is, for the first time in my life, I had realized that this man is for sure a psychopath. And when I read these text messages that they're engaging in, turning up the pain level to 10 because she's a zombie, and then there's other ones where they have described again this percentage of what is what their life is, what life is left in them percentage wise, zero being obviously no life left in them. Uh, Again, somebody said the death penalty, and there was no death penalty in this case, and I don't really quite. I think that a lot of us go, okay, well, they deserve the death penalty, but honestly, I think they deserve to just suffer in prison in silence. I remember, for those of you that watched the Leticia Stauch or Stock, or I've been corrected on the pronunciation. The fact is I've heard it pronounced 100 different ways. But this Leticia Stauch case, she just got convicted on Monday and sentenced. And when her, well, I guess now ex-husband Al was speaking, who's, I don't know if you guys caught this victim's impact statement that he made. I didn't see Gannon's mother's statement, but I saw Al's. It was heartbreaking. I was crying. I was like, this is terrible. But one of the things that he asked for was her to sit in solitary confinement for every potential year that Gannon would have been alive. So he said, he was very scientific about it. He said the average male life expectancy is like 77 years old. So he died when he was 11. So that would be 66 years, 66 years in solitary confinement. Well, not 66 years, but 66 months. And what that would translate to, and then that she serves out the rest of her sentence in general population. I there is, you know, I had brought Justin Brooks on this program, who is a defense attorney with the California Innocence Project, who talks about his clients being stuck in solitary confinement. I've watched several documentaries about solitary confinement, and I have obviously been in prisons before and seen these situations. I think that is the worst that you could do to someone. And I think that somebody like a Lori Vallow, if and when she gets convicted, I'm going to pretty much say that the even money odds are that she's going away for a very long time, probably the rest of her life or two life sentences. Is that she will end up most likely being put in protective custody, which is solitary confinement, which is 23 hours a day. You are locked up, I think, in some states, and I believe she's in Idaho. So her solitary confinement is probably going to be worse. I think their solitary confinement is Colorado. Colorado, from everything that I've ever researched, has the worst solitary confinement in the country, the most strictest. And that's, of course, where Leticia Stauch will be. And then Idaho, I think, is right behind them for whatever reason, but the way that their laws are set up. So rest assured, I know that a lot of people have their pitchforks out and ready to are upset about her not getting the death penalty, but it's because she's going to be stuck in solitary confinement. That's for sure, and that is not a fun thing. That is maddening. And for those of you that read the Count, what was it, the Count of Monte Cristo? No, well, Count of Monte Cristo, he was in solitary. 105 North Tower of the Bastille. Oh, come on, Tale of Two Cities. Uh, he is in solitary confinement in a very small room, and obviously there's madness, and we've heard that. And if you are a literature buff, people like Edgar Allan Poe also write about these things. But Tale of Two Cities talks about that, and it's not a very fun experience. So she does have that to look forward to. And again, my experience in the incarceration system of dealing with my father and relating to other inmates and having been in prison myself, not as a convict, but as a civilian, going in and out of there, it can be quite a social. It is a mini sort of a mini society, a microcosm of society, and there's a lot of people very get used to it. Routine is a big part of prison, obviously, just like the military, just like anything, big part of prison. And you can get locked into this routine and it just sort of becomes your daily day to day, right? Then you have this not this other routine of being stuck inside a cell and not being able to leave or interact with other people because I think that that is the worst thing. I mean, for anyone that wants to know what that's like, why don't you put your phone away for 12 hours and see how you do? Or don't get on YouTube or don't get on Facebook and see how that works. Uh, the connection to society. I think a lot of us realize like how bat crazy we went during COVID. So you think about that and being stuck in prison. Um, she doesn't have anything to look forward to. That's for sure. In fact, a death penalty is probably letting her off. Hi, Tara Newell. Tara Newell's in the house. And Tara, I was just telling everyone about Dr. Ramani, who's coming on our program. I'm going to, I'm going to look at some of your questions here. I'm going to put on the glasses. Let's see what's going on. Thank you for those of you that have dropped me stickers. I really appreciate it. Your support helps make this channel. And I did put a post out for you guys. So the sort of goal of all of this, I think, as I have explained to a lot of you, and if you watch my YouTube lives and if you watch my Instagram lives, is that this is a daily show that I will start doing. But it doesn't happen without your support. And I realize that times are tough, so I get that. Just sharing this show with people, sharing my content with people, helping me cross. I'm about ready to cross hopefully 25,000 subscribers. If I can get in a couple 100,000, we're going to be sitting in a really good place where I can comfortably do all of this for you guys and give you guys the content that you want and have more research on cases and talk to more and more interesting people. I'm hoping to get a former FBI agent on the show tomorrow. Talking to her right now. She's a little technologically challenged, so I have to do that. So anyways, Mighty Soul mug. Also, when you buy merchandise, it helps too. I really like this mug. I think this is the 15-ounce mug, if I'm not mistaken. You know, I just feel like a late night host is like always has the mugs for the guests. But yeah, the goal is to do this every night and to do this for you guys. And because it's really what I want to be doing anyways, let's just keep it real. So your support, sharing the content, liking, subscribing, all those things, they all really help. Because there are a lot of true crime creators out there that are talking about this that have absolutely no clue, no personal experience. I don't need to tell you guys this because you're smarter at this stuff than I am. But your support means the world to me. Let's see. Are the AI taking over? Are the AI taking over? I don't know. Is the AI taking over? Little c, little c, little c. I don't understand what little c, little c, little c is. Brenda Fisher. But I have a moving past trauma, the Murray Soul mug. Yeah, so I just made the Murray Soul mugs, Tana. Yes, Tana has bought some merchandise. Tana bought the coaster too, which looked beautiful. But yeah, I really totally dig it. Yeah, they did a really nice job on this mug. Yeah, I'm very stoked about it. Sorry, it's a new thing. It's a new shiny object. Brenda, stay strong. Your heart. Oh my God, what's going on? Brenda Hickey, my nephew. Oh, I'm so sorry, Brenda Hickey. I'm so sorry. Oh, you love my glasses. These are the Amazon ones. I am going to go get a proper prescription here very, very soon because these are not cutting it. I really need contacts too. Lori's son phoned her. Yes. Okay. So getting back to Lori Vallow, and I'm going to what do they call it? Butterfly. They say this. People do this. They butterfly. I have a habit of doing that. I rewatched the Sins of Our Mother documentary the other night. And I'm very interested in talking to Colby Ryan, by the way. But two things that really stuck out to me, which was the first one, and Tara and I do talk about this. Hi, Blondie's channel. Thank you so much for getting a super sticker. I appreciate it. Blondie, by the way, not this Blondie's channel, but Blondie was the name of my former Chihuahua that I had before Mighty Soul, whose picture just came up, and then Mighty Soul's came up next to hers. I had my Blondie for almost 18 years, and she was a wonderful, beautiful little soul that I lost the end of October. Brenda Fisher knew her, got to know her. Tara obviously got to know her. But yeah, so anyways, thank you so much, Blondie's channel. You are channeling the spirit of Blondie. So, one of the things that really stuck out to me, and Tara and I talk about this a lot with survivors and survivors of true crime or victims of SA or any kind of familial situation which turns sideways, to say the least, for the algorithm, turns sideways, is is that Charles Vallow had sent text messages and or actually sent emails to the family explaining what that Lori what had it out for him, that he felt that everyone was in danger, that she was essentially crazy and was possessed, was very caught up in the religion and things of that nature, and no one listened to this man. And the thing that I found really interesting, thank you so much, Linda. The thing that I the thing that I would the thing that I really caught from that is when we're debating who Lori Vallow was. What she started doing is before Charles had sent those messages to the family, and she was off doing God knows what, because it was just after they came back from I believe they lived in Kauai and they had moved back to Phoenix or to Arizona, and she had sent a she had started this smear campaign against him, contacting all the family, saying he's crazy, he's trying to say things, he's setting me up. And that is the very typical response of the narcissist. The narcissists all do this. They all tee up this. They all tee up the what they call the smear campaign, and that's what she did. And that's when I realized, like, she's a psychopath, clearly, because that is how that's how they start everything. Is the other person is crazy? They start to build this case because it's very, very calculated in psychopathy and narcissism. And narcissism is from, and as was explained to me by Dr. Ramani, is a form. A psychopathy is a form of narcissism, and what they do is they build this smear campaign to create the case of the other. So it's all about the other, and then it's unite against a common enemy is a lot of a theme of that they do. And so trying to unite the family against Charles Vallow. So therefore, everything that he was saying about her would be deemed, irrelevant, and no one listened to him, which is precisely what happened before he met his untimely death at the hands of her brother, who also apparently mysteriously died. But I believe he had like an aneurysm or a blood clot or something crazy. Very scary stuff. I want to answer a question from listeners. Thank you so much, Yvette, for posing this question. Would you consider having a psychologist on about trauma and weight gain and how it can affect people, how it is a domino effect? Absolutely, I would. I would love to do that. Are you a psychologist? Would you like to be on the program? That is absolutely something. In fact, Tara and I were talking about this, and I'm not going to mention who we were discussing, but yes, trauma and weight gain is a very, very big thing. And I, as someone who, when I was growing up with my father, I was abused because of my weight, because I was a chubby little kid. Now, I was a chubby little kid because I was asthmatic and I was taking all these, I was taking a lot of prednisone, which is a corticosteroid. And because my lungs were so bad, like I was always getting infections. It was so bad for a few years. Thank God that seems to have, knock on wood somewhere. Uh, um, I I had really bad lung infections, so I was just blown up like a little balloon because I was just always on these drugs that I took for a couple of years, theophylline and God, I can't remember. I remember this theophylline and corticosteroids like prednisone. So, but yes, I would love to talk about that because I do think, and as Tara and I were talking the other day, many people do medicate themselves using food or I know, for example, I talk a lot about doing exercise, and right before I was doing this, I finally hit the gym for the pool, which I hadn't been swimming in probably like 5 days. Now I had done other activities. I mountain biked. I worked out here at the house. I have a little gym downstairs, but for the most part, I was not able to work out. So or to swim, which I really enjoy doing. And I think that I've been so busy trying to prepare for this program, Survivor Squad, doing all these projects that I'm working on, that I was very much caught up in my own, oh, I got stuff to do, and oh, I can't do this. I didn't prioritize self care. I didn't prioritize my fitness, my physical fitness, which is something that's very important to me for my trauma healing. And Tara and I talk about this a lot. She does yoga a lot, and we talk about this on Survivor Squad, and on our lives, and even in our coaching, on how important self care is, and exercise and physical exertion is. And uh, I tend to I was like, oh, I'm not prioritizing what I need to do. I really want to go to the gym, but maybe I'm not rewarded by that. Or, oh, I need to get something done and then I can go do that. I put a reward on it, which is a reward. I love to swim, so it is something that I really enjoy doing. But I don't prioritize that, way too often than I care to admit, will often put that as the last priority for myself, even though I know it makes my day better. It makes me feel better. It makes me a better content creator. It makes me a better host, podcast host, what have you, a better human being in general. Feel better about myself. It still, it still is something that I sometimes fail to prioritize. And I think that a lot of people, again, to answer your question in a very long-winded way, Yvette, is that many people who suffer severe trauma do this to themselves. We get caught up in this cycle. I've got to get something done. I've got to do this. I've got to oh this, and then the day gets away from you, as we all know it does. We all get caught up in doing things that we need to do to survive. And then people who have children, I don't have children, but people who have children get caught up in cycles with the kids and everything. And then we all know how this goes, right? Uh, it is very important to take those moments for yourselves. I cannot stress it enough. And I'm sort of preaching to my own choir on this as somebody who needs to take better priority of that. But yeah, it is very, very key. Now, somebody bought me a super duper sticker. Susie, thank you so much for buying the sticker. You are amazing. Thank you. It's incredible. Thank you so much. Oh, yes. And me too. I had skin infections on my back. Uh, yeah. So I was working with a skincare brand, and I won't mention them because they're kind of messing me about right now. But the skincare brand that I was working with, they do a lot for the Psoriasis Foundation. And there's another dermatological issue that they were dealing with. I can't remember, not psoriasis, but there's another one. But all of these, as I was engaging with the scientist and one of the dermatologists who obviously goes to school, who's been to school and educated for this and is a practicing physician. And I said, how much of this does trauma play in? Like, do you guys ever talk about trauma? Do you guys ever talk about how trauma plays a role in skincare and your gut microbiome and things of that nature? And they go, no, but it does. You're absolutely right. We don't talk about that. We talk about other external factors. A lot of it has to do with health, how you take care of yourself, what you eat, what you consume, what you put in your body comes out of your body, type of things like that. So it's interesting how these things manifest themselves. I'm not a psychologist, but I am too asthmatic and I have to deal with trauma. Yeah, I bet. On all those medications, so you know about the theophylline. Question, please tell us about the relationship your dad had in prison. Are you referring to, well, I don't know much about the relationships that he might have had with other women, perhaps? Other than the time that I went there and there was this woman who was much older than he was and way old enough to be my grandmother, and they were romantically kissing. It was very strange. She happened to come on the same day that I was visiting, which was very weird. This is when my father was in Lucasville. I know that he had a lot of admirers and a lot of people. And I think much like people who engage in, let's say, dating apps, for example, I used dating apps for a long time. There's this interaction you have with someone, and you can have a constant dialogue. I mean, it's why there are dating apps. It's why there are dating websites. It's why people do online dating. You want to interact with someone, so they're fascinated by the prisoner's story, and they become sort of their chorus of sycophants, as I like to say. Uh, J. Guillermo Gianello would be a great guest. Tara and I on Survivor Squad, we are going to have an episode that we did with Tanya Amon, who is the wife of Dr. Daniel Amon, and I'll let her put the books in the chat here. I don't know what books he wrote. I kept saying the body keeps the score, but it's not him. She told me it was something else. I got corrected on that. But I'll let her put those in. Yes, my dad makes your skin crawl. Yeah. Hybristophiliacs. Hybristophiliacs, I believe, are the. Oh, I didn't post the right thing. Hybristophiliacs, which are people who are obsessed with people that are incarcerated, correct? Is that another channel? Yes, it will be another channel, but Terranul and I have to have the podcast, which is there's no video portion of it out yet. It's only out in audio form. We release another episode tomorrow with Rita Isbell, who is her brother was unalived by Jeffrey Dahmer, and he was one of his, I believe, one of his last victims, and she was in a Vice documentary that we had come out last Thursday. So. Brenda, don't encourage that. Don't encourage that, please. Change your brain, change your life. That is the book. And the power of the female brain. There we go. There we go. The body keeps the score. Yeah, I don't know who wrote that. So, anyways, if you guys watched my episode I put out yesterday about Leticia Stauch, what did you guys think of the verdict, and what did you guys think? I was talking about the solitary confinement thing, which I'm sure, no doubt, she will also be in solitary confinement. And a few of you wrote in comments because you had way more information again about these things than I do, but that she had a whole laundry list of crimes that she was guilty of, and things of making fraudulent police reports and DV issues and things of that nature that were just very, very petty theft things. I mean, it was a lot. She had quite a laundry list of things she was doing. So no surprise, really. I was very surprised to learn that she was a school teacher that dealt with challenged kids. Like, how does that happen? But I'm curious what you guys think about that. Call your local honey has almost cured your hay fever. Oh, that's good to know. Right now, my nose is just probably very active from the pool. But yes, thank you so much. And we have going to have all kinds of unusual flowers here in California because we have had so much rain, and we're going to continue to get more apparently. So. Anyways, I would love to hear what kind of questions you guys have for me. You're a half hour late. That's okay, Faye Farr. Australia time differences. Yes, and I really didn't promote this because I accidentally created this live for today. And then I saw Lena Beautiful, I believe, had responded, can't wait. And I was like, oh, shoot. That means I got to do it now. Because I had just switched StreamYard accounts and now I'm on this. And I was just trying to do something and it ended up creating it on YouTube. It was very funny. I made it public and I was like, oh, whoops. But here I am. And I'm so glad to see all of you and thank you all for tuning in and all of that. So, hey, by the way, let me share this with you guys. So I know a lot of you are very fascinated by prison and what things go on in there and what prison gifts are. So this is actually something that my father had made for me. Which is, so this is, I don't know if you guys can see this or not with the glare. So this is an outhouse that my father had made for me. This is made out of popsicle sticks, if you guys can see. This is a prison gift. And then this is the little outhouse with a toilet. Very interesting. And, Yeah, that's what my father thinks of me. Editing in progress. It says Collier Landry Productions. So, in a very subtle way, it's very cheeky, but in a very subtle way, it's that he thinks my career is shit, I suppose. Uh, but there you go. I have all kinds of interesting little artifacts over the years that I'll be sharing more of. Um, and I always keep this on my desk, by the way, for you guys who are curious. This is my mother and I. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, you can see that. Great. This is my dog Gowdy. This is the my dog Gowdy, who is the dog that I had growing up. And when Children's Services came to take me out of the house, they said, "Oh, you'll come back. We'll come back and get your dog." And I never saw my dog again. But this is Gowdy. He was a wired hair fox terrier, and my mother picked him out. And yeah. Anyways, that was the dog I had for a few years growing up that I never got to see again. And that is one of the the things that I talk about a lot on here is the consequences of violence, obviously, and what happens to these families. And as we discovered with Lori Vallow, while she had looked up like what to do with, I believe JJ's dog, because he had either an emotional support animal or something of that nature. And yeah, she was looking for a way to either get rid of it or sell it. I don't know. So I think they're going to do closing arguments tomorrow in that case, if I'm not mistaken, and we shall see. Because again, as I'm going through these text messages that she had done and exchanged back and forth with her soon-to-be husband, who then they offed Tammy Daybell. They thought that they were going to create this new Jerusalem with 144,000 people, and Jesus was his brother, and just real delusions that I firmly believe, especially when in rewatching that documentary and talking about the smear campaign against Charles Vallow, 100%. There's narcissism involved. I mean, I think it's like we kind of default to that and go, oh, well, yeah, they were narcissistic because they believed that they had a line to God and they believed that they could do all this and get away with this. But that is absolute. The smear campaign and all of that is absolute further proof of all this. For those of you that, $3,000 service dog. See, like you guys know everything. You guys are so smart, so observant. All of you fans and subscribers. I really appreciate it. Here's a question. Oh, LP is touring Northern America, I see. And you capture any of the magic on stage? And will I capture? I will not, probably. The Smallness of the World LP is my faves. And Lost on You and Anthem to Me. Oh, that's amazing. Well, thank you so much. For those of you who don't know, I directed a music video. It has 1.1 or 1.2 billion views here on YouTube. It is called Lost on You Live with a singer named LP, and it's fantastic. I talked about it a few times. TNCO Bugga, I just deleted the app. Yeah, she tried to sell JJ's dog for money. Here's a question, Collier. By consensus of the room, you are gorgeous. Does that interfere in your life, or do you enjoy it? Does it get you recognized more, do you think? I don't know. It's something that and I think that, so I've worked in Hollywood for a very long time. And I have friends who are very famous. And one of them had said to me not too long ago, they said, God, if I looked like you, man, I would not stop talking about how good looking I was. And he was telling somebody about me in the room, and he says, the thing with Collier is he just doesn't realize that. And I just don't. I don't think about it. It's not something that crosses my mind to a problem, because sometimes I engage with people and it creates problems, and I don't realize that it's maybe taken the wrong way or something. I don't really think about that. The only thing I think about is my eyes are beautiful, and because they were my mother's. And my mother had beautiful eyes. My mother always used to say two things. She's like, we have the same eyes, and we have the same rose. My mother kept saying to me, Collier, you should feel lucky because you have a Roman nose. I don't know what that means, what a Roman nose is, but she always said I had a Roman nose, and I should be very happy with that. So I don't know what that means. Thank you. I really appreciate the compliment. It's very humbling, and I'm sure it does create a lot of problems in my life that I'm unaware of. I think probably I'll tell you what the biggest problem is. 100%. To answer your question, old lady Snoop, I'll put this question back on the screen. I'll tell you what problems it does create. And this is something that I think a lot of people can understand. The problems that it creates for me is that when people look at me, they think that I have no problems. Let that one sit. And that was probably, see, now I'm going to go on a whole rabbit hole. That was something that when you grow up in Ohio and when you grow up in a situation like I grew up in, and it was very obviously abusive and all these things, right? And horrific, tragically. Uh, you know, first of all, you grow up in Ohio. It's very myopic. You're not in an area that I mean, there's an obsession with celebrity and things of that nature, but you don't. But it isn't a culture. You're just like, people are farmers, people are steel workers, people are automotive workers, people are janitors, plumbers, people are lawyers, people are doctors. And it's a small town. It wasn't until I came to Hollywood and Los Angeles that I realized that that was something that is a big deal to people. So I think that a lot of people, because they did not know my story, they just assumed that, oh, life has been easy for this kid. Oh, you were probably the yeah, you were the prom king and the high school football quarterback star and all that stuff. I don't think I was the prom king. I was junior and senior class president, captain of the tennis team, but I did. I was definitely not prom king or queen. But I think that one of the things that people, they just assumed like it was this good looking kid. And I remember being at a party, probably like 2004 when I was first here. So I arrived in LA 2002, California 2001, end of 2002. I remember being at a party, and I had a couple of friends that I was fairly close to, and a couple of them knew, like nobody ever really knew my story until the film came out, but some of them knew more than others, and they knew like, my dad. Everybody kind of knew Collier's from Ohio. His mom was murdered by his dad, or his mom was murdered, and he was adopted. That's kind of the general thing that a lot of people, if they knew anything about me and my backstory, that's really what they knew. But I had some friends that I was a little more open with, that I told my story to, because they asked, and I said, well, yeah, I'll tell you. I didn't care. I never really shared my story with other people because I didn't want to. I never wanted it to lead me into a room. But also, it's a lot to tell someone. A lot of people have a lot of trouble dealing with trauma, and I think for just in the most basic sense, when we talk about true crime, and again, Tara Noel and I talk about this on our podcast, Survivor Squad, about the ethics of true crime and about victims, and how there's a lot of victim shaming and blaming, but there's a lot of deism. Was that the right word? Or deification of criminals and of perpetrators and of violent perpetrators. Jeffrey Dahmer, Charles Manson, et cetera, right? And these people are put on a pedestal almost, whereas the victims and the survivors and the families are often excoriated for their behavior. And one of those reasons is that you can't relate. Most people cannot relate to a serial killer or a serial person, right? You can't relate to that behavior. You can't relate to Lori Vallow, but you sure as heck can relate to who the victims are, 100%, and therefore that scares people and that makes them distance themselves. So a lot of times they're not receptive, or the story makes them uncomfortable, and I had to be very, very aware of how that affected the world around me when I told my story to certain people that weren't ready for it, because they were like, wait, what? So back to my story of how this impacted me. So I remember somebody said, and they were being they were being shitty because they just assumed something about me based upon my looks. And at the time I was modeling, I was in extremely good shape. And I remember they said to me, they go, "Oh yeah, you just probably your life is so easy, buddy. You're just you had everything handed to you. Clearly, look at you. You're this and that." And I didn't say anything because, and I wasn't really gonna say anything. I wasn't gonna put this person in their place. But if my friend who knew my story didn't jump down this dude's throat, and he didn't get aggressive or anything like that, he literally just said, "Oh, really?" And my friend was black that had taken my defense, and he's like, "This is my brother from another mother. His name is David. So this is my brother from another mother, Collier, and you have no idea the story this man has, but it'll make your toes curl. Like you have no idea who you're talking to." And then he proceeded to tell them in this party, and everybody was silent. And the guy just, it's like, I mean, it was actually kind of a great situation because the guy got put in his place because he learned to, he had assumed something about me just based on my looks, which, by the way, anyone who is a person of color knows exactly what I'm talking about. And that's in my, just somebody looking at me and going, "Oh, good looking white kid." That's the least of my problems. Imagine being someone of color that's judged to be criminal or whatever, what they have to go through. There's nothing. I went through nothing compared to what these people deal with on a daily basis. So let's just keep that very clear. But I think this person learned their lesson. Like, you don't judge a book by its cover, literally, because you have no idea what people walk through. And that's a lesson I think that I've tried to apply in my own life when I'm talking to people too. And I think, you struggle for a lot of success in what you're trying to do and what you're trying to accomplish with your life, whatever that is, creatively, professionally, monetarily. And it's easy to look and go, the grass is always greener on the other side. Oh, that person had it easy. But it's not true. It's not true. So I think that person learned their lesson that day. Not that I really cared. It really didn't bother me because it was to be expected. It's like, of course you're going to judge me for whatever, and that's okay. Like I'm fine with that. But since you asked, there it was. Am I neurodivergent? I have absolutely no idea what that means. Sasha Freedom. I have heard that phrase thrown around before, but I have no idea what neurodivergent is. This crop on my video is really bugging the heck out of me. I do not know why it's doing this. Come on, man. Yeah, I have no idea. School me on what neurodivergent is. Maybe I am. Neurodivergent on the autism spectrum. Am I autistic? No one's ever told me that. I have no idea. I'm so glad Collier is real and not vain and conceited or just so beautiful. Oh, thank you. I'm definitely not. If anything, I'm probably the opposite of that. But thank you for saying that. They are asking if I have autism, pal. Oh, thank you so much, Black Widow. Such a different way of thinking, and it is high functioning. It is a different way of thinking, and it is high functioning Asperger's. That's interesting. So do I have Asperger's? Never had that. Never had anybody say that to me either. Yes, I am an artist, so I have been a creative artist my entire life. Most of us are on the spectrum. Oh, thanks, Tara Newell. ADHD for sure. That's so funny. Thanks, Tara. Is this the Survivor channel? No. This is on the Survivor Squad channel. Totally different than Surviving the Survivor. Survivor Squad is my podcast that I do with Tara Newell. We will have a channel right here on ADHD, DDD, autistic. Are they all the same thing? I have two neurodivergent teens, and so our hubby and I are super happy, so no worries. Oh, okay. Well, that's good. I would say Claire does not have autism. My son high functioning autism. He has too much sympathy for others. So are autistic people not sympathetic? I don't know a lot about autism. Tara, her father, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, Tara, but you've talked to me about autism before a little bit. It's something I don't understand a lot about. Um, we are all like that. I went to art college. Okay, good. So I'm just an artist. There it is. I'm just an artsy fartsy artist. That's what it is. And I am very empathetic with people. But I mean, that's sort of how I was raised. Is I was raised with empathy and compassion. So no, y'all, he's totally normal. Been through hell, but doing well. Thank you so much, Lena. Beautiful. No. My daughter is sympathetic and autistic. Okay, so autistic people are sympathetic too. I mean, I think so. I don't know a lot about Cueva. Now you got me wanting dulce. Oh, dulce de leche tres leches, pastel tres leches. So for those of you that don't, well, why would you know this? I used to work at a Mexican nightclub, or sorry, a Latin nightclub, and one of the things we served in this nightclub was dulce de leche. Oh, my favorite cake. In fact, I had it for my birthday this year. February 28th is my birthday, for those of you who don't know. And if anyone here sent me a birthday gift to a P.O. box, I'm getting them tomorrow. I didn't receive them and not thank you. It's a long story. It involves a dog, but they were not received. But they were going to be received tomorrow. A very long story. But so if you send me a birthday present and I get it tomorrow, I will thank you. Because I didn't know I had them. I think Collier has some ass burners. Ass burners today? That's funny. I am extremely empathetic, autistic. My birthday is coming up and I want one. Yeah, dulce de leche. More Chihuahua pics. Yes, we will put more Chihuahua pics, Ashley Rose. Fright. Yes, thank you. 28th of when? 28th of February is my birthday. I'm a Pisces. What nightclub did I work at back then? It was a nightclub and restaurant called Yariba Tapas Teatro. So Yariba Tapas and theater. And we had like dancers and singers. I used to sing in the band too, occasionally. And I was a bartender and a shooter boy. Would walk around the shop. Oh, it was a lot of fun. I was the only white person there, and I learned how to speak Spanish because I had to work for tips. and I also wanted to know when people were talking about me. So my Spanish is not anywhere near what it used to be because I haven't really been forced to speak it for a long, long time. But I really do want a Freudian slip. That's funny. I need to get back on that. A lot of times when I work with Mexican crews, they'll come in from town, and by the end of the time we're working together, I'm very like back on my Spanish after about 2 weeks. It's fun. It's cool. Thanks for the information on Survivor Squad. The real victims are the ones that died and they crossed paths with the serial killer. Yeah, absolutely. And then the people telling their story. We have some fantastic episodes coming up. We have Kim Goldman, whose brother was murdered in the O.J. Simpson debacle, along with obviously Nicole Brown Simpson. We have Amanda Knox is talking to us. Has talked to us. We've got some really fantastic episodes. We have about 30 episodes that are coming out over the next 6-8 months. So tune in. It's a really good podcast. We got some really great reviews from people that are, and some survivors who have reached out who said, and one of them was connected to our latest episode about the betrayal, and she had a lot of really kind things to say. And so when you hear from people who are affected by these things and how they weigh in, it's really, really amazing. By the way, for everyone that is here, it is almost 4 o'clock, and I'm going to have to go very shortly. But I did this at 3 o'clock, again, totally by accident. But I'm wondering if the 3 o'clock hour, which is 3 o'clock my time, Pacific time, 6 p.m. Eastern time, is a good time for everyone that is listening to me. Because I know some of you come from other channels like Surviving the Survivor. They do theirs at 7. I was going to do mine at 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, but I'm wondering if 3 o'clock is a better time for everyone. Let me know in the comments. And please, again, like, subscribe, share this channel, please. And for those of you, I really appreciate it, because every little bit of sharing what I'm doing here, the content that I'm creating, helps build this little community that we are all cultivating and build this show. And I would love nothing more than to do this 5 nights a week. I think it'd be great. And then I can do all this wonderful research and have all these cool little clips and videos and talk to some really amazing guests, which I have some amazing guests coming up on the podcast you guys should check out. I interviewed Jillian Lauren, For those of you that don't know who she is in the Stars documentary series called Confronting a Serial Killer, which is directed by Joe Berlinger. If you guys don't know who he is, Joe Berlinger is probably the it guy in true crime for like the last 15 years. He's a director, very talented guy, producer. He did the Madoff series, he did the Clutter Family Murders. He's done some incredible work. And I know him because I met him because Barbara Koppel, the director of A Murder in Mansfield, was his mentor. And so when I was traveling around with the film Murder in Mansfield, I got to meet him and we engaged, and it was very cool. He was at all the different film festivals with me. Very cool guy. And he's in the Vice documentary with Tara and I that aired last week. So check that out. But so Jillian shares with me her experience, the trauma that she went through as a child. And we do talk about the serial killer, but we also talk about her and her experience dealing with trauma in her childhood that no one's really talked to her about. And so I'm really excited to have that episode come out. She's also, for those of you Weezer fans, she is married to Scott Schreiner, the bassist of Weezer, who ironically, in such a small world, how we're all connected, is from Toledo, Ohio, which is about an hour and a half from where I grew up. And we are both in the same area code, 419. Shout out to Toledo and Mansfield. So it's very cool. Well, if there's no more questions, I'm going to have to jump off so Tara Newell and I can talk to Dr. Romany. Look, guys, I really appreciate all your support to all my channel members. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much to all my Patreon subscribers. Thank you. Your support means the world to me. If you are interested in merchandise, there's going to be more coming. I'm going to put my face, little kid Collier, on the mug soon too. But there is the Marisol mug. It is fantastic. All the merchandise is available down here. It's all available on my website, collierlandry.com. Thank you to all of you. Please like, subscribe, share, click that bell. Check it out. Thank you all so much. I love all of you. I'm Collier Landry, and this is Moving Past Trauma. Thanks, y'all.